Hi, my name is Susan Lohman and I'm the Crochet Architect. I've got a quick, easy beginner project for you today that you can make with your children or grandchildren or anybody you want. It's a great project for springtime to bring a smile to your face. So let's get started. This is my smiling face coaster pattern, and you can make it in whatever colors you like. What we're going to use for these coasters is a worsted weight cotton yarn. This is one brand and there are lots of other brands. So find the brand that you have available in your area. We're also going to be using an I9 5.5 millimeter hook. And we'll need our tapestry needle for weaving in our ends and for embroidering our smile on the coasters. And we also need either a stitch marker or a scrap of contrasting color yarn to keep track of the spirals, the end of our rounds. So let's take a look at the pattern. This is the pattern. This is a free pattern on my website for the Smiling Face Coaster. It's 2 pages, and I have a link in the video description below, so if you'd like to download that free pattern, go ahead and do that. This coaster comes out to about 4 3/4 inch diameter, but whatever size is fine, it's just a coaster. We're going to need 20 yards of whatever color you'd like to use for your coaster, and then about a yard of black for our contrasting color to embroider the face on it. And we have a gauge here, and we have abbreviations, and the special stitch, which is a shell, is worked around the edges for a nice little scalloped edge. You can leave that off if you just want it round, or you can continue to do the scallop around the edges. So let's start with the beginning of our pattern. We have, oh, here we go. There's the beginning tail. So we're going to start with whatever color. My pattern says yellow, but I'm going to do a blue one today. Our project starts in the center with a slip knot. If you're not sure how to make that, go ahead and check out my slip knot video. And we're going to start with 4 chains. And then we join to form a ring, which means the first chain that we did, we're going to do a slip stitch in there. And I like to go under 1 strand, and then I rotate it around so I've got 2 strands on top. And then I do my slip stitch right in there. And this forms a ring that you can see. And we're going to work all of our single crochets into the center of this ring. But I like to take the tail and make it curve around behind the ring and also work over that tail at the same time. Round 1 starts with a chain 1, and we work 8 single crochets in the ring. So there's 1, 2, and we're just inserting our hook right in that hole in the center of the ring. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 more will be 8. Now this is my chain 1, so I can actually work over that, or I can scoot my stitches over a little bit to give me more room. So there's my 8th single crochet. And we can double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we are going to be working in a spiral. So that means we're not going to join with a slip stitch in the next single crochet. We're going to mark the beginning and the end of the round. And there's 2 different ways you can do that. You can use a stitch marker and put that stitch marker on top of the last stitch that you work. Or my new favorite way of keeping track at the end of the round is just with a contrasting color of a scrap of yarn. So I lay that scrap of yarn between the last stitch and the first stitch, and I just work right over that scrap. And that's the end of round 1, and we're ready for round 2. Round 2 is increasing in each stitch around, so we're going to work 2 single crochet in each stitch. So we just insert our hook twice in the same stitch, and we do 2 single crochets. So there's 1 and 2, and we will do this in each stitch around, working 2 single crochets in that stitch. We're always inserting our hook under the front loop and the back loop. Right in there, and I'll do this round to the beginning, and I'll meet you at the end of round 2. Okay, I've gotten to the end of round 2, and I know that because here's my scrap yarn. It's right between my last stitch and my first stitch on round 1, and all I have to do is flip the yarn over to the front now, and I'll work over the yarn again. Now, if you're a beginner, I want you to check and count your stitches on each round. So there should be 16 single crochet in round 2, and let's count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we have the right number, and we can move on to round 3. Round 3 starts with an increase, so we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next single crochet, but we will not increase in the next stitch. So every other stitch will increase. We work 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So we'll do 2 and then 1. We'll do 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in the following stitch. And that's what we work all the way around, and I'll do this all the way around, and I'll meet you when I get to the end of round 3. If you're making a coaster with me, then keep going until you get to the end of round 3. Okay, here I am at the end of round 3, and I know I'm at the end because here is my yarn between those 2 stitches. So I've just worked in the last stitch, and I'm ready for round 4. Now you should have 24 stitches in round 3. So go ahead and count those and make sure you have the right number before you go on to round 4. We'll drape our yarn across to the back now, and we can start round 4. Now, round 4 does not start with an increase. We're going to start round 4 with a single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochet. And then we're going to work our increase of 2 single crochet in the next single crochet. And the reason I designed this coaster like this with the increases offset, they're not all at the beginning of each round, is so that it would end up more circular instead of an octagon. So we'll repeat that again. We're going to do a single crochet in each of the next 2 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the next one. That's our increase. So we do this around, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, I've gotten to the end of round 4, and I know it's the end because there's my marker, my piece of yarn, and I can flip that to the front and start round 5. But make sure that your stitch count is now going to be 8 more stitches than round 3. So round 4 has 32 stitches now instead of 24. Now round 5 starts with a single crochet in the next single crochet, and this is going to be a little different than the last round. Now we're going to start our increase. We're going to do 2 single crochet in the next single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 3 single crochet. So this is our increase, and we'll work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 single crochet. And that's what we're going to repeat 6 times more. So we'll do our 2 single crochet in the next single crochet and single crochet in the next 3 single crochet. So I will meet you when I finish this part, when we're close to the end. Okay, here I am close to the end of round 5, and I have 3 stitches left. So to finish this round, we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next single crochet. That's our increase, and then single crochet in the next 2 single crochet. So that's the end of round 5. And you should have 40 single crochet at the end of this round. That's 8 more than the last round. And we're ready for round 6. We will flip our stitch marker yarn to the back now and start round 6. We're going to work 2 single crochet in the next single crochet. So here's our increase at the beginning now. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 4. So we work 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 single crochet. And this is a repeat around. We do our increase in our next single crochet, and we work 2 single crochets there and single crochet in the next 4. So I will finish this round and meet you at the end. Okay, I've gotten to the end of round 6, and I know it's the end because there's my stitch marker. Now, round 6 should have 48 single crochet. So go ahead and count those and make sure you've got the right number. And now we're ready to do our last round, which is round 7 with our shells. So that round starts with single crochet in the next single crochet. And then we're going to skip 2 single crochet and work a shell in the next single crochet. And a shell is 5 double crochets worked in the same stitch. So we yarn over for our double crochet, skip those 2 single crochets, and we're going to work 5 double crochets in that 1 single crochet. And that's going to curve around and give us those nice scalloped edges on our coaster here. That's 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more makes 5. And now we're going to skip the next 2 single crochet and do a single crochet in the next single crochet. And that is our repeat around single crochet, skip 2 single crochet, do the shell in the next, and skip 2 single crochet, and then I'll meet you when I get back to the beginning. Here's 1 more shell that I'll demonstrate. There's 5 double crochets in here. Whoops. Get that hook in there after I skip 2. And 5 double crochets makes a shell. Now there's a lot of different kinds of shells. This is just one kind. So if you've done a different kind in another pattern, that's just fine. And there's our shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll repeat that around and meet you at the end of this round. Okay, here I am at the end of round 7 with my scallops, my shells. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shells. And you skip the last 2 stitches, and we're going to join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet that we worked. So we do our slip stitch, and then we'll fasten off. And then we can pull our stitch marker yarn right out, and we have our finished project. Almost finished. Okay, I didn't have my scissors a minute ago, so I've got my scissors and I'm going to finish off this coaster. So you just pull it through. And now it's time to weave in our ends. So we're going to go to the back of our project and get our tapestry needle and thread our yarn in there. And we're going to weave in the beginning tail in the center. I'm going to first pull it a little bit to tighten it, and then I'm going to weave it under the legs of the single crochet on the wrong side of round 1. And I can go as far around as I want. I typically like to go all the way around to the beginning, and then I like to go over one strand and go back the other way. I'm going to pull that nice and tight first, and then I'm going to go back the other way. And this helps to lock that end in, and it won't come out. It'll also keep the center nice and tight so that the hole isn't visible in the center of our project. And then we can trim off that end close to our project without cutting our project. And then there's the center almost gone. And on this tail, I like to take it down in the last stitch. So I go under that back loop and the strand behind it. And I like to pull that a little tight, and then I go down the stitch to where I have single crochets that I can work into. I don't want to necessarily work into the shells because then there's stitches that were skipped between them. So I'll go down here and work under the legs of the single crochet on that round before our shell round. And I go 5 or 6 stitches in one direction, and then I go halfway in that stitch, and I'm going to come back around, going down to the round before that. And I'm going to weave back in that direction. I make sure that my yarn isn't too tight or too loose when I'm doing this. And this helps keep the tail in the project and helps keep it from coming out in the future. Some projects get a lot of wear and tear like afghans, and you always want to weave your ends in 2 directions for more stability. And then you can trim that off. And then you can either keep it the way it is, or you can embroider your face on there. Now to embroider the face, we're going to take the length of the black yarn or whatever color you'd like to use on your project, and we want to have close to a yard. So I was being a little generous with saying it was a yard. I'm going to do a little bit less this time. And we'll go ahead and thread that through our tapestry needle. And I like to do the smile right between rounds 3 and 4. And I did 5 stitches here separated by 2 stitches of single crochets. So 5 straight stitches of embroidery. So let's start. We've got 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to start about here. Come up, and I want to leave myself enough tail to weave in, so that looks good. I'm going to go 2 stitches to the right and go down. And then I'm going to come up 2 stitches to the left of the first spot that I came up. And I'll go down in that same spot. So this is back stitching in embroidery terms. Oh, and we want to make sure that our tail's not getting caught under there. So I went 2 stitches over, and I'll come back down in that spot. And I don't want to be splitting my yarn on the back either, my tail. So go 2 more stitches to the left, and come down in that same spot over here. And that's 4 stitches and 1 more. And make 5. So here's a smile on the face of our coaster. And now we're ready to put some eyes in. And what I like to do, you can see that the back isn't too messy. I like to weave my yarn up to where I think my eye is going to be. Weave it across to the other eye, and then I can weave it in, and I'm done. So I'm going to weave this in behind my stitches, and I've gone up to where my smile ends, and I want to go about 4 more stitches up. And this is something that you can play around with to see where you want your stitches to be. Now let's look at our smile. And I'm going to do my eyes about here and here, or maybe over here. So they're also going to be done over round 3, and we'll just come up in one spot and go down in another spot, and we're going to do that twice. Give our eyes a little bit more thickness. Okay, here's one eye, and then I will go to the back, and we'll start weaving in my tail to get over to where I would like. Well, this isn't my tail, but I'm going to weave the yarn over to where I think the other eye should be. Do I want it here? No, we'll go a little bit further. In fact, I'm going to go here, and then I think I'll come up. Okay, that looks fine. Now you can play around with this. You can always move your eyes around. This is okay. It's not really straight, but we'll just call this good enough. You can play around with where they are, move them over until you've woven in your ends, then they'll be finished off and complete. And that's how you do that. And then you would just weave your end in under some single crochets on the back and weave the other one in under any single crochets on the back. And then you can trim those off and you will have your finished project. I hope you've enjoyed this video on making these quick, easy coasters. You can make your coasters any colors you like to go with your home decor or to give as gifts. If you'd like to get the free pattern, check the video description below for the link to the pattern on my website. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crocheting to you!
Alright, one more time with feeling this time.
Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video.
Wait.
What now? Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's try it again. I don't think you were smiling quite as much as you should.
Oh, come on.
Let's do it one more time, alright?
Okay. Is this enough smile?
Okay.
I hope you've enjoyed this video on making this quick, easy coaster. You can use any colors you like to go with your home.
Any colors? Are you sure you want to say any colors?
Oh, come on. Yeah, any colors.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Any colors they have on hand.
All right.
Yeah, coasters for their home decor or to give as gifts. Is that okay? Can they give them as gifts?
It's a cheap little gift.
Oh, come on. You can have a set of 4. I will give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos in
And
the future.
outtakes.
Oh, and outtakes. Yeah, exactly. See you next time. Bye-bye.